Good day everyone, I am Aenya Kiezele Cangao, first year student of PS Ed Science. In this video, we are going to tackle the lesson entitled Communication Processes, Principles, and Ethics. First, let us know the definition of the word communication. Communication came from the Latin term communicare, which means to share. Communication is the act of conveying meaning to others using shared symbols, gestures, behaviors, and rules. We can also define communication as a process that involves sending and receiving messages through the verbal and non-verbal methods. In other simple terms, communication is the process of sharing information. Communication can be one-on-one or between groups of people and can be face-to-face or through communication devices. Now that we already know the meaning of communication, let's move to the communication process. The goal of communication is to transmit information and the understanding information. This communication process is divided into three basic components. A sender conveys a message through a channel to the receiver. As you can see in this figure, it shows how the process of communication works by explaining the different parts involved, such as the sender, message, and receiver, along with the feedback mechanisms that help ensure effective understanding. The sender is the person who initiates the message. The message is the information or content being shared. The receiver is the person who gets the message, and the feedback is the response or reaction from the receiver back to the sender. This second figure is the communication model, which provides a more detailed presentation of communication. As mentioned earlier, communication begins with the sender and then involves the message being transmitted to the receiver. In this more specific presentation, we can see that after the sender and message, the next step is the transmission, which is the process of sending the message from the sender to the receiver. Following this is the recipient, who is the person intended to receive the message, which connect to the receiver along with the feedback. Before moving to the next part, let us always remember that communication clearly defines as sending and receiving messages. In communication process, there must be a sender who sends the messages and a listener who listens or receives the message. Additionally, communication can be considered an ongoing or continuous process. It involves a cycle of sending, receiving, and interpreting messages followed by feedback, which can repeat as long as there is a need or desire for interaction. However, the process can pause, stop, or end when communication is no longer needed or when participants disengage. Therefore, while communication has the potential to be continuous, it is not infinite by definition. Now, let's move to the principles of communication. There are 7 principles of communication. Firstly, the principle of clarity. The thought or idea that needs to be communicated should be spelled properly. To achieve clarity, ensure your message is clear and to the point. Pronunciation should be clear as possible, including the enunciation to avoid misconception. For example, when explaining a process, use simple terms and step-by-step instructions rather than technical jargon that might confuse the listener. Example number 2. Instead of saying, "Let's meet sometime later," be more specific and say, "Let's meet at 4 p.m. today." Another example is when you give directions, instead of saying, "The store is not far from here," say, "The store is 2 blocks down the street on the right side." When communicating, it is important to give more specific and clear messages. Take note also to say words clearly and properly. Next is the principle of attention. One should pay attention to every single detail in communicating. It is very important to pay attention in communicating. In order to understand what the sender means, the receiver should be drawn towards the message by paying attention to the emotion, behavior, manner, and gestures so they may respond properly to the message. Example number 1. Nodding and making eye contact during a conversation to show you are engaged. Second example is asking follow-up questions to demonstrate interest and gain deeper insights. Third example is avoiding distractions like phones or multitasking while someone is listening. Active listening involves fully concentrating, understanding, responding, and remembering what is being said. It shows respect for the speaker and helps in building better relationships. Next is the third principle of communication, the principle of feedback. A feedback signifies that communication is effective. It is important to provide feedback once communication takes place. Communication is a two-way process, and feedback from the receiver ensures that the message has been understood as intended. It allows for clarifications and adjustment of the message if necessary. For example, a teacher asking students to summarize what they've learned at the end of a lesson ensures understanding. Another example is in customer service saying, "How was your experience with our product?" encourages the customer to share their thoughts. Third example is during a team meeting, a manager might say, "Please let me know if the process is clear or if we need to go over it again." Another principle of communication is called the principle of informality. Informal communication can be effective and efficient in some situations. The principle of informality in communication refers to the use of a relaxed, casual, and approachable style when interacting with others. This principle is often applied in situations where a formal tone might feel too rigid or distant. For example, in text messaging, instead of giving formal message like, "I am writing to inform you that I have completed the task you assigned," it is better to give informal message like, "Just finish the task you asked for." Informal communication helps build rapport, encourages open dialogue, and can make exchange of ideas feel more natural and less intimidating. Next is the principle of consistency. To achieve consistent result, one must be consistent in the way they communicate. Consistency always matters in communication. The message should be consistent both in content and tone. Consistency helps in building trust and avoiding confusion. Inconsistent communication can lead to mixed messages and misunderstanding. Example number 1. A brand consistently using the same color scheme, logo, and tone in all its marketing materials. Example number 2. A company always using the same format for weekly reports ensures consistency, making them easier to follow. Example number 3. A manager who consistently gives feedback in a calm, constructive manner helps employees know what to expect. Consistency helps reinforce the message, making it more credible and easier to understand. Principle of timeliness. Communication should be done at an accurate time as possible. The principle of timeliness refers to delivering messages at the right moment when they are most relevant and can have the greatest impact. Timely communication ensures that information is useful and actionable when it is received. Example number 1. During a natural disaster, authorities send out immediate alerts via text messages, radio, and television to inform the public about evacuation orders or safety precautions. Timely communication in this scenario can save lives by providing crucial information when it is needed most. Example number 2. An organization sends out a reminder email to attendees a day before a scheduled webinar. This timely reminder helps ensure that participants remember to attend and are prepared for the event, leading to a higher engagement and attendance rate. Time is very important. When the receiver is not ready to accept or hear the message, it is therefore not right time to convey the message. Lastly is the principle of adequacy. An adequate message builds rapport to both parties. The principle of adequacy refers to providing all the necessary information that the recipient needs to fully understand the message and take appropriate action. Adequate communication avoids confusion, reduces the likelihood of errors, and ensures that the receiver has a complete understanding of the subject. Example number 1. A doctor explains a diagnosis to a patient, including the nature of the illness, treatment options, potential side effects, and follow-up procedures. Providing this comprehensive information allows the patient to make informed decisions about their health and treatment plan. Example number 2. An e-commerce website provides complete product descriptions, including specifications, dimensions, materials, care instructions, and customers' review. Adequate product information helps customers make informed purchasing decisions and reduces the likelihood of returns due to unmet expectations. It is important to deliver adequate messages at all times in all respect. Now, let's move to the last part of the lesson, which is the communication ethics. Let's first define the meaning of ethics. Ethics is the moral system or judgment of what is right from wrong. Communication ethics are the principles that guide what is right and wrong and appropriate in communication. Communication ethics refers to the principles and standards that guide how we communicate with others in a fair, honest, and respectful way. It involves being truthful, avoiding harm, respect others' privacy, and being considerate of their feelings and rights. Ethical communication ensures that interactions are conducted with integrity and responsibility, fostering trust and understanding. In summary, we've explored the essential processes of communication and the principles that ensure effective and ethical interactions. That's all for now. Thank you for your attention and time.